free mind. You crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Regie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And yes, I have been away for a while. I don't know how many live streams I missed or skipped, but there were quite a few that I did not do. I needed to take a moment for myself. And I will tell you that I enjoyed my time away. I needed to recharge. I really did. I needed to recharge. And while I am not 100%, I am definitely feeling better than I was just a couple of weeks ago. Huge shout out to everybody that gave me the space that was needed to step away from the channel and the analytics and the posts and the shorts and the reels and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely appreciate it. I will tell you that while I was away, I spent a lot of time reflecting upon the channel and how I want to do things moving forward. There will be some changes that I will be introducing in the weeks ahead. So bear with me as we continue to evolve and change. But this show on Wednesday is a celebration of New Comic Book Day. And so in a moment, I'm going to be going to the live chat here to see what it is that you all may have picked up earlier today. And it doesn't matter whether it is a truly new book that was just printed or a new to you book. I want to hear about it. If you made it out to the LCS and you picked up a bunch of books, let me know what books you picked up. If you read something today that was a good read, let us know that as well, because people always ask, what's good, what's hot, what should I be reading? That's part of why we take the time to do this during this live stream. If you want to shout out your LCS, go ahead and do that as well. I just had a very interesting conversation with the guy. We were talking about this new Eminem book, this new Eminem Spider-Man cover book. He was able to secure a copy of this book, and he was asking the question as to whether he should grade that book or sell that book now. And I'm like, so you spent a little bit of money on that book, and you have an opportunity potentially to turn a 966% return, to get a 966% return right now, basically right now. Or you could send the book off to be graded and maybe come back at whatever grade it comes back at, in the hope that you can sell that book. I am curious, if you were in this dilemma right now, chat, what would you do? Would you take the 966% increase on your initial investment, or would you roll the dice, try to get the book graded, and try to make even more money? I am curious. What you guys think. Kevin Pitts is up in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. The OG is in here as always. Southern Comic Geek did not miss a beat. He's like, sales, sell immediately. Immediately, you have to sell. I don't tell grown people what to do, but my whole thing is, you have an opportunity to make some cash right now on a very small amount of money, or you can roll the dice. Grown people will do what grown people will do. But as one of the things I pointed out is that in a dynamic FOMO type of market, the waters can shift very quickly. They can shift very quickly. Kevin's like, show me the money, take the money and run. Miscellaneous T. The person actually has two copies. They actually have two copies. So they like double down. So they can keep a copy. Joe is like, sale now. And I think he threw in, how many exclamation marks is that? 3 or 4? I don't know. There are several exclamation marks. Maybe the person will see this live stream. I don't know. One of the things that I want to do real quick before I go to the chat to see what it is that you guys may have picked up is I want to shout out the winner of the Shortboxed giveaway. This is a giveaway that we do every single month. All you have to do is to watch the video with the Shortbox ad in it, leave a substantive comment behind, and you can randomly get a $100 credit from my friends over at Shortbox. And the winner for this month is EX underscore capital SSFD underscore capital L little T. I don't know what that says, but this person commented, "That is why actors say never to work with animals." This was a comment that was left on a video in which my dog, during me recording something, decided she was going to relieve herself in the grass directly behind me. That's what this comment is. That is a substantive comment in my mind because that is friggin' funny. But shout out to the winner. Make sure if you're watching this to send me an email at reggie@regiecollects.com with your screen name, your government name, and your contact information, and I will get that request sent over to the folks at Shortbox so they can issue that $100 credit. Now, here's the thing. If you notice, right below his comment, there is a total number of names of 32. This video, I do believe, was watched by thousands of people, yet there were only 32 comments. The odds of you getting a credit or something like that are very good, especially when thousands watch and only a couple leave a comment behind. Good luck, because we do this every single month. All right, let me go to the chat real quick and see what people may have picked up. What is that? Mark says, "I have just returned to comics again. Been sitting on the collection for almost 15 years. No slabs yet, but several potentials such as Team Up 1, ASM 194. You are very welcome for the advice. My channel, Mark, is designed for people like you in many ways. People that are new to comics, newly returning to comics. You can find a lot of content on the channel. What I always tell people is if you search for Regie Collects plus whatever you're searching for, there should be a video or 12 on that given topic. And it doesn't matter whether you're trying to figure out what to grade, how to clean, how to press, how to ship, how to insure your books. It does not matter. I got you covered. And if you ever need, if you ever have questions, reach out to me or join the Discord. There's a free Discord here where the Gibbon Gang and the Comic Book Swoldiers get together every single day and they talk to each other and help one another out. Fight the good fight. Picked up Hidden Empire, the 1 in 50 variant, the Darth Maul variant. What is that? Miles Morales 30 and 42, CGC 9.8, and a few others. That's what's up. Mr. Comic is in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. He said no new books for him this week with the crying emojis. The crying emoji. Vader, JSA, Strange Academy, Superman, Wildstorm this week from Trev. It is good to see you, brother. Pick myself up from the couch. Oh, man, you are funny. Charles says, "I collect Marvel cards. Love this channel." That's what's up, Charles. The great thing about the channel, brother, is in all honesty, is it doesn't matter what floats your boat. Doesn't matter what you collect. You can find a place here because we treat everybody with respect, even when we don't necessarily agree. What is that? Dave, how you doing, brother? Visions #1 reprint, Avengers Assemble, DC Annual #1, amongst a bunch of others. Dave, where are you from with that amongst, with that ST on the I had a woman who used to work with me. She was fancy. She would always throw the ST on the end, and I had to remind her that we are in America. It is among. It is among. Teasing. Have fun with your stuff. Welcome to the territory. That's what's up. Scrolling through, Matt is up here. How you doing, brother? One of the blue wrenches. It is always good to see you, my friend. Mark, my Canadian brother, the Boogeyman #3, Approach #2, Briar #2, Damn Them All #2, Philadelphia 25. Mark, your LCS loves you. They love you, especially when you put up big old posts just like that. That's what's up. Kevin says he didn't make it. There is always tomorrow, my friend. Didn't make it to the LCS. Says not Jack Sparrow. All good. Scrolling through. I just have a 9.8 universal grade Wonder Girl #1 variant. Came in the mail today. That's what's up. And Cat #3. Congrats, brother. Doesn't have to be new. It can be new to you, and that's what's up. There you go. We all celebrate people's wins. Just got Silk #1. There you go in the mail today. That's what's up. Good stuff, brother. Congrats. I'm scrolling through. Kevin says couple of Superman 30th anniversary books, Moon Knight #1, and a Venom Lethal Protector #1 for $5 a piece. That's what's up. Very good. Very good. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Couple of books picked up here. Briar 2, Damn Them All #2, Dead, Lucky, Love, Sick. Couple of cool books. That's what's up. A lot of people did not make it to the LCS. Oh, you went to the DMV. I am very sorry for you, sir. I am very, very, very sorry for you. All right. So typically as part of this show, we spend some time talking about some news and current events, and we are going to hopefully be able to get to some of those things. But I also have a guest. I have a guest that I invited to the show to talk about some things that I think are important. It is very much on brand for me when you hear the details of this. And so it will definitely all make sense. And so to that point, I want to welcome to the show right now, Joe. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Reggie. How are you?
Joe, that is my favorite t-shirt you have.
This is my favorite one too.
And the thing is, I only have one. Only have one. That is by far my favorite shirt. I absolutely love it. Thank you for wearing it. But Joe, welcome back to the channel, brother.
Thanks.
I hear that you are selling some mystery boxes to raise money for a 501c3. I want to talk about the charity, but I first want to talk about these mystery boxes. What are they? How much are they? What's in them? Break it down.
Sure. Last year we did mystery boxes where for $50 there were 7 comic books. I think you were involved with that actually as well. So last year all 10 mystery boxes sold out right away. So this year there are 15 of them, and I decided to up the ante a little bit. So instead of 7 comics, there are 12 comic books in them. It's $75. The 12 comic books, it's guaranteed to have at least 3 comic books from Golden Age, Silver Age, or Bronze Age, a combination of them as well. Plus, everyone who buys a box gets a chance to win this beauty here.
Nice.
All right, Punisher #2. It's a MikeZek.com original. He signed it. I don't know why it's a 9.6. When I sent it in, I could have sworn it was a 9.8. But somebody wants to break it and do it. I don't think it's worth it, but go ahead and do it. But you get a chance to win this. The whole idea is to really just get some comics out there, but really it's not so much the value of the comic book. So you might find some good ones in there, I think, because I threw some in. The real thing here is to give us some money so we can take care of some of the people that are involved with this charity.
Yep. And last year you raised, what was it? You raised $500, right?
Well, we raised $500 through the sale. Some people actually gave me more money. So we raised $600 altogether. I matched that amount. And so we sent $1,200 to last year's charity, which was St. Jude's Hospital for Children with Cancer.
Yep. And so this year, more books, hopefully raising more money. I think you also have an ability for people to donate money as well for a chance to get in on that Mike Zek book that's sitting behind you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So what we did was, because some people said, we want to give you more money and so forth. And I just felt that's great. You can do that.
Yeah.
But why not try to get something back for it? So what we also have is for $10, you get an additional chance, or you get a chance to win. So if you get closed out, and I'll tell you how many mystery boxes we've sold in a second. If you get closed out and you still want to participate, you could certainly send me or text. You can send me a DM and say you want to give me some money. But why not just get some chances? And we'll put it on a wheel and we'll spin it on next month's comic book crowd show, and we'll give it away. So I just felt that way you get something back as well. You have at least an opportunity of getting something back. It's not really a raffle so much as give me some money, I'll put your name on there. Maybe you get this, maybe you don't.
Yep. So at the end of the day, there's 2 ways to get in on the action. You can buy the mystery box, which is great, and $75 gets you into the grand prize, or you can donate $10 and also have a shot to get the grand prize as well. How many mystery boxes do you have remaining right now?
Well, the great thing about it was when we spoke earlier about the possibility of doing this, 11 of them had been sold. So I had 4 left. But between that time today and now, 2 more sold. So actually we only have 2 more left.
There we go.
And the big thing here is that if they all sell by December 15th, so we got 2 weeks, I'm throwing in $500
on top of everything else.
On top of everything that's been collected. Plus, I'm It's $75 postage paid. I'm actually paying the postage. All right. So we got a good chance to have over $2,100, I think, to go to the charity if we sell those last 2 mystery boxes in the next couple of weeks.
There we go. And we can definitely talk about that in a second. But I first want to talk about this charity. I believe that the charity is called Tunnel to Tower. It is a 501c3 based out of New York. And I believe that they help support, I guess, injured military personnel and also the families of first responders. I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to put more texture to that than what I just offered up. So please have at it.
Sure. One of the things, I mean, being in New York during 9/11, and being able to see the towers from my office window, it was very traumatic.
Mm.
And for some reason this year, the anniversary of it really hit me. I thought about some of my friends who worked in the towers and didn't make it. Other people who I knew that lost people there too. And it really became emotional for me. I actually did a video on it on my channel just because I just felt I had to get something out. So this year, when I was looking at it, I mean, St. Jude's Hospital for Children with Cancer is a great organization. I give to them all the time. And I was thinking about doing that again. I said, you know what? Let me look for something else. And the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was really the one that kind of popped into my mind because I see commercials for it all the time here in New York. So the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was really put together by the Siller family to celebrate their youngest brother, Steven Siller, who was a fireman in New York City, had actually finished his tour, was in Brooklyn when he got the call that a plane had gone into the towers. And he tried to drive back, called his wife and said, I'm going to go back to help out. But the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which goes from Brooklyn into Manhattan, was clogged and shut down because they shut everything down at that point in time. So he put all his gear on his back and he ran through the tunnel.
Wow.
And he ran all the way to the World Trade Center. And unfortunately, he was one of the over 400 policemen and firemen who died that day. So as a result, his brothers and sisters put together this foundation, and they do a lot of really great work. They do things like counseling, disaster relief, helping the children of America's heroes who've been orphaned or lost one of the parents. But the three programs that I kind of highlighted in my video on this are the Smart Home Program, the Fallen First Responder Program, and the Gold Star Family Program. The Smart Home Program provides mortgage-free homes for the most catastrophically injured veterans and first responders. And each home is actually designed uniquely for the particular individual. Yep. So they'll have things like special showers where a wheelchair could go in, wider hallways. They'll have, if the guy has a dog who's a good dog, they could put some stuff down at the bottom so the dog could push the button and open the doors for the fellow or the girl. I mean, it's just amazing what they do with this, and it's all free. They build it for them if they have to, and it's just an amazing thing because when you see their faces, you know, when they get this, they feel like they're made whole again. I mean, it's very emotional when you take a look at this thing. So that's really great. The Fallen First Responder Program is what you would think, and that is if you are a fireman or a policeman and you don't make it because of your job and what you've done at your job, they make sure that if you have children at home, that the children and your spouse get their mortgage paid.
There you go.
And so they don't have to worry financially about having to pay off the home. They know they've got a home that's there. So that's amazing. And the last one is the Gold Star Family Home Program. And it really honors the legacy of those that made the ultimate sacrifice when serving our country. And again, they provide mortgage-free homes to the surviving spouses with young children. And the focus, a lot of it is on the young children. You know, really, if there are children there, they want to make sure that these children can live their lives the way they could have lived them as best as they could if they had both parents. Obviously, that's not possible. But things like, well, now we have to sell our house and move into an apartment or do they want them to have stability. And that's really where the focus is. And the Siller family have done just a great job on this. They've, I forget the exact numbers. Actually, give me a sec. I have it here.
So we're sitting down having a conversation with Joe, who is offering up some mystery boxes where all of the proceeds from the sale of these mystery boxes, which could amount to $2,000 with his contribution, will go to the Tunnel to Tower Foundation, a 501c3 that does really fantastic work for wounded and injured veterans as well as first responders. But Joe, I think you're about to give us a number here for maybe
Right.
what
They've raised over $250 million in support of this. And the big thing about it is when you take a look at some of these charities, I mean, I do a lot of investigation on these. 95 cents out of every dollar goes directly to these services. So they only keep 5 cents for administration. If you look at some of these other places,
it's a lot
they do
higher.
nothing like that.
It's a lot higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe, how can people support this? I think that there's a link in the description, but give us a quick rundown of how people can support the last 2 mystery boxes and possibly just make a donation of as well of $10.
Right. So I asked Reggie, and he was thankfully he did it. He put a link in the description below. There's an order form there. You just go to the order form. It's pretty self-explanatory. You indicate how many boxes you want to have. You indicate if you want to buy any chances. Again, if you buy a box, you get 1 chance, but you could buy extra ones. Or if you don't want to buy a box, you could buy some chances. When you do that, you're going to put your email address in there. I will send you the information to that email address as to how you can make the payment. If you just want to make a contribution, because some people have said, you know what, I'm going to pay this, but I don't want a chance, for example. I said, okay, fine. If you just want to make a contribution, there on the form, it's got my email address. Just email me and say, you know, Joe, I want to support Tunnel to Towers through your efforts, but I don't want to necessarily buy a box or have a chance, but I want to give X dollars, and I will get in touch with you so you can make that payment.
There you go. Link is in the description. 2 boxes left. Hopefully folks will get in on this. Joe, it is always a pleasure to talk with you. Welcome back from your vacation. I was tracking you on the Instagram. I hope you and the wife had a wonderful time, but thank you for coming on to share this project that you're working on. I'll be in touch, brother.
Thank you so much for letting me do this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care.
Take care.
All right. So he had on the military green shirt doing some good stuff for first responders and also military folks as well. So that was a no-brainer for me to be able to support that one. Lee Atkins is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. He says 95% is huge. Most charities only about 30% goes to the actual cause. 95% is a significant amount of money. The administrative fees are just amazing in terms of what some of these companies will try to retain for themselves. One of the news events that I spoke about on Instagram, and I may even have spoken about it ever so briefly on YouTube as part of a reel, I honestly cannot remember, was this crazy rumor that is floating out there about Disney. Disney has had its share of troubles over the last couple of years. I think many of you are very well aware of the challenges that they faced. Over the Thanksgiving break, they actually replaced their CEO. I think the new CEO, who is the old CEO, received a call like 2 days before it was announced. He, of course, agreed to come back as the CEO, and now he's addressing all of the rumors that are floating out there. I am, of course, talking about Bob Iger, who I do believe was CEO of Disney for about 20 some odd years, if not closer to 25. It's been a while since I kind of dug into some of the details, but Bob Iger is now back in charge of Disney and has been tasked with returning the company to its former glory. He has a 2-year contract in place, and as part of that, he is supposed to be finding a replacement for himself as well. The last Bob Chapek was also his successor. That did not work out well, but hopefully they can find a better CEO to come in about 2 years to kind of take over. But one of the things that Bob Iger had to address during a recent town hall was the rumor that was circulating that he was going to sell Disney to Apple. And when I first heard about that, I was like, there's absolutely no way. And then I started to dig into it. And what I realized is that Apple has a market capitalization in the trillions. Trillions is the value that is Apple. Disney, on the other hand, is just in the billions. Like, I didn't fully appreciate that companies could get that large, if you will. And then I also found out, I do believe that Apple has double the cash that Disney made in the fourth quarter. So Apple has more cash on hand than what Disney made in the fourth quarter of this year. And their company is also a much larger company. But Bob Iger basically dismissed these rumors as pure speculation. He then went on to make some comments around how he was not planning to do any type of acquisition, but he did not say, from what I was able to find, that there were no conversations that were going on. Long story short, I don't know if this thing is going to happen. It would be a massive deal that would undoubtedly cause some monopoly questions to be raised by regulators. So I don't think that it's going to happen, but it's just one of those interesting things that popped up in the news that I wanted to kind of share with you guys real quick. He did not say no. That that's the thing. And he spoke about his plan is not to do any acquisitions, to buy any other companies, but he never, from what I saw, he never really addressed the question head on of, are you going to sell the company to Apple? He never really addressed that. Marcus is spot on. He didn't actually say it. Disney, 1.75 billion, 55th largest company. Apple is 2.3 trillion, the number one. That is redunculous. Just think about that for a hot second. Think about that for a hot second. A lot of people say that Apple has also gone downhill since Steve Jobs, but while that may be true, 2.3 trillion is what they have sitting in the hopper, which is just a ton of money. I'm not going to touch that. Let me scroll down through these comments here. I think there you go. Trillions with a T. Let that sink in. It is a redunculous amount of money. No, Bob Iger picked himself as a successor to his successes. Yeah, well, technically, right? Because Bob was on the board of directors, and I guess the other board members had a conversation and decided to give him a call. He kind of sort of knew the call was going to come in. He started to have some conversations with his wife, and his wife was like, if you are called, you shall serve. I should also say, I do believe that his package for the next 2 years is like $58 million. So, I mean, if somebody calls me up and said, hey, Reggie, we want you to come work here for 2 years for $58 million, my wife would be driving me to the plane with the quickness. Before I could even finish the sentence, we would be in the car headed to the airport so that I could go make that magic happen. So, no, brother. No, sir. No, sir. I don't want that kind of smoke. I don't want that kind of smoke. Not in any way, shape, or form. I'll take a board seat though, because they still make a lot of money. I'll take a board seat. And let me scroll down. Let me scroll down through these comments here real quick. If Apple buys Disney, does that mean the batteries will die in a well done, brother. They're gonna force you to upgrade that. You know, I think what somebody commented on, which I thought was really funny, is that they were like, this could potentially save Apple Plus, because the Apple Plus streaming platform is not great. Ted Lasso, if you guys haven't seen Ted Lasso, it is hilarious. I love some Ted Lasso, but there's not a whole lot on there that I watch. So you know, it could work. It could work. All right, let me see. There you go. 48 billion. 48 billion. That is redunculous. That is redunculous. All right. So this is my first show back in a little while, and I thought that I would just be all kinds of aggressive. Instead of one guest, we have two guests, and waiting in the wings, I have a fantastic artist that I had the pleasure of meeting face to face for the first time at New York Comic Con, and it was an absolute pleasure. Delia Gunderson, greetings and salutations.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Delia. It is good to see you. So pink hair last time. Now we have green hair. I still have no hair. So, you know, it's all good.
Consistency is key.
Delia, it is good to see you. I want to talk with you about Isolation issue number 2. And yes, Mark Andrews, Isolation 2 is a real thing, sir. We are working aggressively to get that out to you. Delia, from a creative standpoint, what was the process like for putting together Isolation issue 2? Was it harder? Was it easier than issue 1? Talk with me a little bit about that creative process.
Okay. It's a little bit of both. It was easier this time around communicating with Doug, and kind of like we kind of meshed a little bit more on like the back and forth kind of, and I had more of a grasp of the characters. On the other end, there were more characters to design, and there were more important places, or at least I think like 2. But that's more than the last one, where it's like going to be visible in something that recurs, like Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. So yeah, it went smoother. But I think it, as far as time goes, it took about the same amount of time, just because there was more to do this issue. So.
Yeah, it was also a bigger issue, I think, than issue 1, right? I think it was a little bit longer, right?
4 more pages. Yeah, it's 32 instead of 28.
Yep, which is a material difference. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about how much time, energy, and effort goes into every single page, now you have 4 more that you actually have to create. But you alluded to the fact that it was a little bit more difficult. The difficulty came from the fact that there were more pages, more scenes, more characters. But the good thing is that you and Doug have worked out a little bit of there's been some gelling. There's been some gelling time there.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw you in New York at New York Comic Con, you were there, you brought your portfolio, and I had a chance to flip through the portfolio and see issue 2 all together at once, which was just amazing. You mentioned to me, at least I think, that there were 1 or 2 pages from the issue that really stuck with you. What were those pages, if I have that correct, and why did those pages really resonate with you? Because one would assume that every page you create is one that you love, right? But
Yes.
Put some meat on that bone for me about the pages that really stuck with you and why.
So the pages that really, well, are we going for the emotional resonating pages, or are we talking about just ones that I enjoy the layout on? Because I have multitude of answers.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So let's say the ones that not the emotional, the ones
Okay, not the
layout or
emotional.
aesthetically or
I like that.
artistically that you really liked.
Okay. Well, there's one that there's a tile floor. If you guys remember in issue 1, you see the lobby of the hotel. Well, you see it again, and the way that the tile lined up with the panels and everything, I just really enjoy it. So that one's one of my favorites. It's like page 10. I took a bunch of different notes. And then my other absolute favorite is a page that's just panels of my favorite character in the entire series so far. And I can't say anything about that one, but it is page 25, and I will die for that page. So
now I have to go look those pages up, because I'll be honest with you, I don't remember the tile floor. Like, I'll be completely honest with you, I don't remember. But now I'm going to go look. Go ahead. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the design choice was it was very purposeful. So things, I love how that kind of stuff works out.
So page 10 and page 25 are your 2 favorite pages. And there are people out there right now that have copies of Isolation. I received a small shipment that came in. I was able to process some orders. I'm still waiting for the bulk of the shipment to actually come in so I can process the rest of them. But there are some people out there that have copies. So now page 10 and page 25 are Delia's favorite pages. There are some very powerful moments in issue 2 as well. And I'm curious, when you were working with Doug translating his written word into visual, did you struggle at all with what it was that he was asking you to depict visually? And I know that's super cryptic, but was there any
Yes, super
discomfort
cryptic.
there?
From what I am understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this question. This is more of the topic of the concept that is in the book and the topics, the hard-hitting topics that the book covers, more than like a demanding image. Okay,
Correct.
all right.
Yes.
So yeah, there were a few pages in there that were difficult for me. Um, Obviously, we're dealing with some time in history where people who didn't look like me had a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And for me, it was important to be respectful in my portrayal of the things that happened.
Mm.
And we touched on heavy themes, some dark history stuff, some like civil injustice, systemic issues. So it's not a light topic, and it's something I take very seriously. And I wanted to put across the right emotional vibe so that people could connect to that, because that's what this story is about, is understanding
And I think you
and
did it
compassion.
beautifully well. I think you did it beautifully well. I mean, it was amazing to see the full panels drawn out with how you draw them and paint them and stuff like that. And then to see it in the comic as well. It's just a wonderful thing. And we're being super cryptic here because we don't want to ruin it for people. There's still a lot of people that have not yet received copies of Isolation. But trust me when I tell you, when you get your issue, you will understand page 10, page 25, and what Delia and I are talking about right now. Trust me when I tell you, you will
31.
definitely appreciate it. What'd you say?
I said it's page 31 is the one that really got me. But it's really page 26 to the end is all, like, in the first one, it was a straight up murder scene, right? In this one, it's an emotional journey.
Yep. And it's really well done. I mean, again, pages, what was it, 26 through 31 are incredibly powerful. Like, it was the last page in my mind from the last issue that was like the big reveal, right? This one is a little bit of an emotional thing that you go through over a series of pages, again, beautifully drawn, that I think people will really appreciate. So one last thing, Delia, before I let you go, and I've kind of alluded to this already a little bit, is that you will have original pages of issue 2 for sale for people after I send out all of the actual issues, which fingers crossed will be in the next maybe 2 weeks, week and a half. I don't know. We're still working on it. But how can people get a hold of you so that they do not miss the opportunity to pick up a page or two from you?
So you can reach me on Instagram at a Delia Marie. Or you can what's the new one? Hive. I'm on there now. It's just, they don't let you do underscores, so it's just Delia Marie on that one, and then Delia Marie Art on Facebook. If you don't have any of those and you have a friend who does, you can always contact them, and I will give my email. I had a couple of people reach out to me via email last time. I just don't put that on YouTube.
No, I definitely get that. So give us a little bit of time, but we will make those pages available to people. Again, we are aggressively working. Had a conversation with the printer late day today. Things have been printed. We still need them to be bound, and then they have to be shipped. Fingers crossed that that'll happen relatively soon, and we will begin processing orders. But copies are available right now on regiecollects.com. Delia, it is always good to see you. Thank you for coming on to chat with us a little bit about this.
Yeah,
I am excited.
Of course, you stopped,
Can you hear
so
me?
I'm just, thank you for having me on here, and thank you, everybody.
All good. Delia, thank you very
Hope you
much.
have a
We
good evening.
appreciate you. So we definitely had some communication issues there. I don't know, you guys could tell, but we were trying to manage through a lag, I think, on both sides there. So huge shout out to Delia Gunderson for coming on to talk a little bit about issue number 2 of Isolation, which is available on regiecollects.com. There are some copies, some covers that are available right now for immediate shipment, because I have covers B. I think I have B and C. I think B and C right now, I do have a small supply of them in hand from GarageCon. I'm trying to process only complete orders at this point, so I don't have any cover A. So if you order A, B, C, I'm going to hold that until I'm able to get issue or cover A from the printer, and then I'll ship everything out. But if people are interested in getting copies now, I do believe, again, covers B and C, if you order just those, then I can ship those out immediately to you all. All right. So again, huge shout out to Delia for coming on to chat a little bit about Isolation issue number 2. I cannot wait for folks to actually get their hands on this as well. Nice. Mark's so polite. Tina, you guys are awesome. Missed the OA and won it from issue 1. Do not miss out this time, brother. I will tell you, do not miss out this time. There are some powerful scenes that are contained in issue number 2. So you definitely don't want to miss out. A couple of people have actually read it. A couple of people have read issue number 2. Mr. Comic, who was in here earlier today, he was able to get one of the, I think he ordered a single copy of cover A, and I was able to ship that out to him. And I think he took a read at it and rather enjoyed it. So let me scrolling through. Hooker for Life. I don't know what to make of that name, but but welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. That way you won't miss out on any of the content. I want a 4-page gatefold like X-Men, but brother, that, if I could get Jim Lee money for a 4-cover gatefold, I would absolutely pull the trigger on that in a heartbeat. I don't know if you guys remember that skit that he and the guy from Torpedo did, where he spilled coffee on the, or spilled food or soup or something like that on the cover. It's a fake cover, but it was a great skit. Ken, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. All right. So one other thing that I wanted to hip you guys to, one other news event, there is an auction. There is an auction that is going down right now. It is called the Spidey Sale. It is called the Spidey Sale, and it is being offered up from a company called PBA Galleries. Now, why am I telling you about that? I am telling you about this because this is an auction involving Steve Ditko's collection. As you all know, Steve Ditko distanced himself tremendously from Marvel and from Spider-Man because of the whatever craziness happened back in the day between him and Stan Lee and some other people over at Marvel. But come to find out, Steve Ditko maintained a wonderful collection of Spider-Man comics. And so for sale right now, I think the sale is actually December 8th or something like that. There will be a sale involving Amazing Fantasy issue number 15, Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 38. So he's basically saved 1 through 38 along with annuals 1 and 2. I'm going to tell you right now, these books are probably going to go for some ridiculous amounts of money, but you have a chance. You have a chance if you have some deep pockets to get some books from Steve Ditko. Again, Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 38, and then the annuals 1 and 2. I do believe that the Amazing Fantasy issue 15 is a 3.5. I believe that it's a 3.5 green label, and it's a green label because it is actually missing a page. Steven Ditko must have plucked out a page from the book. But yeah, you have a chance to pick up some of Steven Ditko's comics. I know that there's a few people in the comic book community that are going to be tracking this sale. I personally will not. I don't have Steven Ditko famous book money, so I will not be tracking this, but there's also some books that will be up for sale, like Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 300 from other people that are not Steven Ditko. So maybe you can get in on some of this action. All right. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys because I thought that was a cool piece of information. Now I have one other surprise for you. Again, this is my first show back in some time. I decided to challenge myself by having 3 guests in one show. We are getting aggressive. This is what happens when I take a little bit of time off. So I want to welcome to the show right now my buddy. I want to welcome to the show my buddy, Doug. It is good to see you, brother. How are things?
Hey, Reggie. Great to see you.
So, Doug, when people see you come on the show, they know that it's going to be a good show. They know that, right? But I can tell you right now, people are probably thinking that we are going to talk about isolation issue number 2, but we are not. We're not going to do that. We are going to talk about another project, a not so secret project. If people came to GarageCon, they probably already know about this. We're going to talk about volume 2 of the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting, another project that we have been working on for months and months and months. And fingers crossed, we'll be rolling out relatively soon. I'm literally waiting for the printer to bind up isolation issue 2 and volume 2 of the guide to ship them to me so that I can make some magic happen. With all of that said, Doug, there's people out there that probably don't know what the guide is about. They probably have no clue what I'm talking about. It's a couple of new people that are showing up in here, right? What is your elevator pitch for those people that are not familiar with the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting? Can you break it down for us?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. I would say the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting is an interactive book on collecting that is meant to be a helpful resource for all different types of collectors, but it's also meant to be a conversation starter to help people think a little bit more and deeper about the hobby and their comic collecting habits.
That was very deep. I did not know where you were going to go with that, but it's interactive. Let's talk about that. How is the guide interactive? Because again, there may be some people that are not familiar with it. Maybe they did not pick up one of the 4,200 copies that we sold before. What makes the guide interactive?
So it is a traditional print book, but we put QR codes throughout, and those link mostly to videos that you've done on different topics that the guide touches on, but also a few resources and articles online by other sources that we want to cite, give credit to, and also rather than summarize or rewrite something that somebody else did, draw their attention to that original source material.
I think the word is plagiarize. We don't want to plagiarize and get ourselves in trouble. So we just point to that resource, go there for that insightful information. But Doug, this has been a really cool project to actually work on. And I actually want to pull up on a screen here, the table of contents for the guide so that people can actually check that out. Because what we are talking about here is basically 88 pages of content. There's like a table of contents and then a page with photos of us that I don't really count. Like it's technically 90 pages, but really 88 pages of content. Here is the table of contents for volume 2 of the guide. And Doug, I am curious, do you have a favorite chapter of the guide? Is there a chapter that really jumps out at you?
It changes. I think when we talked about this a little while ago, I said that chapter 4 was my favorite. And it was at that time. It probably will be next week again. But I do go back and reread them. And I think right now, chapter 3, Your Mind, the Most Important Collecting Tool, kind of jumped back out at me as a personal favorite, because it really goes into the thinking side of collecting and how different logic fallacies that we all fall victim to in our thinking affect our collecting habits. So and some other important related topics, not just around logic fallacies. But so today I'm going to say chapter 3, your mind, is my favorite.
That is a very cerebral chapter. There is no doubt about that, right? My feeling is that people will probably revisit that chapter a couple of times, because I don't think that that's a chapter that you just like rip through. I think that there are chapters like that in the book, in sections that you can just rip through and you're like, oh, I appreciate that. Some of what we actually talk about in chapter 3, like the anchoring effect and the sunken cost fallacy, that might take a reread, you know? And I think that's just the nature of the beast, right? We don't want everything to just be this easy read. We want to invest in people and say, here are some things that you really want to think about that can help you be a better, smarter collector. And this isn't about just making money off of comics, right? I mean, if you're buying comics, you want to buy smartly. And that's part of what the guide is about. And certainly these chapters are about. But Doug, one of the other questions I have for you is there a chapter in the book that was difficult for you to write for some reason or another?
I think chapter 5, the data chapter, was probably the most challenging, and only because I am a data nerd and I find that stuff really interesting. And from writing some blogs about it, I'd have to, after I wrote a blog, go back, wait a day, and then reread it and kind of go, oof.
Yeah.
Like, this is interesting to me, but no one else is going to find it interesting. So I did with that chapter. It's such an important one, and there's such really good information about data and how it can be used properly. But I really had to fight with myself and rely on your input and your writing skills and voice as well to tone down some of the technical data stuff that I find interesting that is kind of boring. So.
Yeah, I was just going to go ahead and say, yes, it was. No,
Yeah.
but it's all good stuff. And again, I think that the guide is written in such a way that it's not just something that is for a certain type of collector. There are bits and pieces in here for all types of collectors. And I think that all types of people can benefit from this, including data nerds, including those that are just like, hey, just give me the high points. And that's all that I need. I'm ready. I'm ready to move on. So one of the other questions I have for you is we kind of skipped over chapter 4. You spoke about chapter 3 as being your favorite chapter today. Chapter 5 as being the most difficult. Chapter 4, food for thought. That could be a controversial chapter. Do you want to talk about why chapter 4 could be controversial for people out there?
I think some of it is because it's a little I don't know what the right word is. I think it took a little bit of audacity to think that two guys who obviously really like comics and spend a lot of time thinking and talking about them, that we should necessarily have a say in changing some long-standing elements of collecting, specifically the era of comics. And I think that when you and I talked about it, like, we both got, there are historians who are much more knowledgeable about the history of comics than you and I. There are people in the industry like CGC and Overstreet that have been around a long time. But at the same time, I think we both agreed that a lot of people tiptoe around the need to update the eras of comics, but no one's really jumping out and kind of putting something forth as like, well, hey, what about this? And I think that's if there's something controversial in there, it's the fact that we were like, well, let's just do it, you know? And if other people are like, oh, that's dumb, or, well, you don't know enough about this to make that claim or decision, then that's fine. But at least we're starting a conversation about something that I think we both think is important for the hobby to consider.
The other part of it is, you know, it's like who are you yahoos to do it, right? Which is fine, right? You might not like us, you might not like what we have to say, but there is some validity in what is being said, and maybe if we get enough people talking, then maybe something will change. And the last time you came on the show and we hinted at some of this stuff, I can't remember the exact show, but I know we spoke about this. I did have some people reach out to me. We had a back and forth about some of this stuff. So I have a feeling that there are people that are thinking about this. I think that there are people that are going to be interested to hear what we have to say. And some of them are probably in this room right now that are just going to call us wrong, which is fine. That's okay. As I mentioned at the head of the show, like, we don't all have to agree all the time on everything. That's okay. But let's have a discussion. Let's have a conversation, because there potentially is some room for things to change. So we heard a lot of feedback with Volume 1, right? And let me also say here that Volume 2 of the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting is not a regurgitation of Volume 1. This is new content. This is fresh content. All 88 or 90 pages of it is all new content. Nothing is carried over. But we heard a lot of feedback from Volume 1. And I think what we attempted to do was to take some of that feedback and correct it or address it again in Volume 2, but then also add in a lot of other stuff. So I want to talk about some of the stuff that we've touched on. I'm gonna just breeze through some of it. We talk about comic book errors, which we spoke about. We talked about Mart Jewelers. We talked about newsstands versus direct, different publishers from different eras, sources of data, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which is something that we did not talk about in Volume 1. We talked about it here in Volume 2. We talked about slab comic labels and what the labels mean. We talked about how to collect, whether you should buy the dip, right? How to think about comics, fallacies, and things that will maybe steer you down the wrong path. We cover a lot of ground, and I'm just scratching the surface here.
Yep.
But what we also did is we included more QR codes, because I think people were saying, hey, where's this video? Where's that video? There's more QR codes. And we also improved the quality of the images that are in the guide. I think the images are a little bigger. They're a little clearer. And a little crisper. And so I think that, again, we heard a lot of feedback with Volume 1, and we tried to correct a lot of those things with Volume 2. Doug, as I ripped through that list ever so briefly, is there anything else that you would add that we may have heard as a piece of feedback or a question that we tried to integrate into Volume 2 of the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting?
I think two that you touched on that are really important. One involved more of the history of comics, and not just the eras, but also the publishers and their role in the evolution of comics through over the last almost 100 years now. And the second thing, in the first guide, we were trying to give a really good broad overview of important topics. And I think some of the feedback that you touched on really helped us go more in depth on some important elements of the hobby. And one that you mentioned that I want to highlight is the newsstand versus the direct market edition. Because I think most seasoned collectors understand the difference between those and the print runs on a basic level of the years and how the print runs or the sales data changed. Mm-hmm. But I think we learned a lot as we researched, well, what is this data based on? What do we really know to be true versus what are the tables that people just put up there and everybody take as gospel? There's a lot more nuance to it. And I feel like, I'll speak for myself. I think we both learned a lot about it as we delve deeper into it. Yeah. I know I did, and I feel like I learned a lot more about that and some things that with CGC now starting to label and record in the census. Like, I think the timing is amazing. Like, I think if you read that section of the book and start to understand, oh, there are probably some really, really rare comics.
Hidden gems.
Yeah, that I can now look for.
Yep.
That the rest of the world is probably going to figure out in about 3 years when the census
When the
starts
data gets
to,
there. But
yeah.
but see, you don't need to worry about CGC's label because we all know it's a newsstand because it's right there on the cover. That's what people tell
Yeah.
me. But again, I would agree with that. I think that there's been a lot of learnings as we went through this guide. I mean, like we did the comparison chart of the highest graded. So we looked at major keys associated with major characters, and we pulled data from both CGC and the CBCS population report, and we put them on a chart. That was also very revealing when you start to look at that. I mean, there are so many fascinating aspects, I think, of what was captured in this guide. I cannot wait for people to actually get their hands on it. But to that point, we are doing pre-sales right now of the guide. It is available right now on regiecollects.com, and it is available for $20 plus shipping. Now, one of the learnings that we had from last year was people were like, hey, I want to pick the cover that I want. We're going to do that. We're going to allow people to pick the cover that they want. We actually have 2 covers. So this one of this very handsome gentleman wearing this black shirt, pick the gentleman you think is handsome, or both gentlemen, I don't care. My daughter took my photo and your wife took your photo, but this is cover A, and I want to show cover B because I think cover B is pretty cool. And Doug, can you tell us who the artist is on this and why this is maybe significant? Can you touch on that for me?
Yes. I believe this is by Chase. Am I going to butcher his last name? Cohen or Cowan? Chase?
Whichever you say is correct, sir.
So one of the, is it okay if I mention that he is he has joined the art team for Isolation issue number 3. And Chase did this homage cover to, I'm going to butcher it. I know it was a Bishop cover. Was it on a Wizard?
Wizard issue number 8. He
That's
basically turned me into Bishop, which is really cool because Bishop is coming back, and with the whole Wills Portacio releasing in January. So again, another happily timed coincidence with this homage to Wizard issue number 8. I think I still actually have a copy of that here, but I think he did a fantastic job. I told him, do not put that S curl on my head. That was before I realized that Bishop is not black. He's actually a Pacific Islander. I did not know that until recently. But cool. You got a black Bishop now wearing a dope red cape. I always wanted to wear a cape. But this is cover B. Cover A, cover B are both available on regiecollects.com. $20. This is, again, a fresh guide, 88 pages of great content that is really designed to help collectors out there. And Doug, one more time, who is the guide for? If you had to put a bow around it, who is this guide really designed for?
I think any collector, whether they're newly returning, or seasoned, can get something out of it. But specifically, collectors that really want to learn and think about their collecting. The reality is, if you're not a lifelong learner, you're probably not watching YouTube channels about collecting, and you're probably not buying books and reading them about collecting. So really, collectors who want to learn more about the hobby.
I think that's actually well said. Like, I think you have to want to think about the hobby to want to buy a book about collecting, right?
Yep.
If you just want to do it for enjoyment, and there's nothing wrong with that, this is probably not the guy for you. But if you want to spend your money wisely, and if you want to be thoughtful about how you spend your money, this is a great guide for people to pick up. So with that said, Doug, I want to thank you as always, brother, for coming on and spending a little bit of time talking with me about one of our secret projects. Hopefully people will support these projects. They are out there right now for folks. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you next time. I don't know when that will be, but it'll probably be virtual, for at least for the next little bit, right?
Yeah, but it was nice seeing you in person at GarageCon too.
Yeah, for certain. For certain. It was good to hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
I wish we had not forgotten that one little thing that we needed to do that we did. Doug, I was so mad. I was so mad at myself. And it wasn't because remember, if you remember before you left, I said, I feel like there's something else that I need to talk with you about.
Yep.
And I think it was that next day or the day after that I got sick to my stomach. I was like, I can't believe that I messed that up. Right.
It's a very busy day, especially for you. So I should have probably remembered, but I was a little under the weather too. So I was just trying to make it through the day. So
all good. All good. Ben, is that Bentley back there?
Yeah, that's Bentley.
He's got to make his appearance. I'm glad he's feeling better. Doug, as always, brother, it is good to see you. Take care.
You too. Take care.
All right. I almost cut him off at the very end. I almost got it. All right. So again, I have been away for quite some time, but it is nice to be back in the seat. It is nice to be able to chat with you guys. I don't think that I have anything else to cover, but I want to go to the chat real quick to see what's funny. What's funny is that after we released volume 1 of the guide last year, I want to say like a couple of months after we released it, somebody else released the guide. I thought it was hilarious. I thought the same thing. I did not pick up their guide or any of that other kind of stuff, but I did pick some of that. I was trying to play it off like I didn't cut him off. All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up. We are definitely over time. I got aggressive and got 3 guests in. Again, if you guys need to reach out to me for any reason, feel free to do so on Instagram. I still have one more video that will drop this week, and I do believe it is a video on comic book hacks. I think that that's the last video that will be dropping this week, tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But fingers crossed, we will be back live here on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Ready, Set, Go preview show. But like I said, if you guys need me, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found its passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.